One of the most overlooked parts of California bar exam preparation is definitely the performance test. A lot of applicants don't like to do them. They're time consuming. And of course, because it is a closed universe, your general information on that area of law being tested can come in, but you're not bringing in any memorized rules. So you're really limited to what is in the library, case law, and the file documents and tasks. So why do applicants struggle with the PT, and why is it so overlooked? Well, it shouldn't be overlooked. It's worth the weight of 2+ essays. It really can make or break your writing score, and it definitely can be a determining factor to whether or not you pass the exam. So if you're going to take the exam in 2025, you must give ample attention to the performance test, just like the other two portions of the exam. Another thing with the PT is all your practice should be in very strict time, 90 minutes. Don't go take many breaks during your preparation of a performance test. I don't recommend, doing half and then coming back to it. Really sit front to back and complete it within 90 minutes. You also have to have a very good strategy for the first 45, 50 minutes. Don't wing it. Don't just kind of go in unprepared. We have a great performance test workshop that we go over in our course. I do have a little of a snippet of that on our YouTube page, but it's really important to know step by step exactly where your time is from the inception of the instructions all the way through the library, first read and outlining, including the task and all that. So you don't want to just go in and do them without having a very clear strategy, again, of the first 45, 50 minutes. Tone, super important. So let's talk about that. The headings for an objective performance test are very to the point. So it's like breach of contract or formation, question mark. You're not giving lengthy headings, persuasive headings, and you're not tying in really any case law or conclusory statements into your headings on an objective PT. The same goes for your conclusions on an objective PT. You're going to use language like most likely and probably, and not really being too assertive. Of course, you're more of a mediator in an objective performance test, so you're weighing both sides of the parties, plaintiff, defendant, prosecution, defense, and you definitely are coming up with a sound conclusion. The task is likely asking you to do so, but you're not giving it a punch at the end. So it's not a very assertive conclusion. It's more kind of either or likely to prevail, right? Or has a stronger position, but it's not the strongest potentially. As opposed to in a persuasive performance test, your headings are going to be lengthy. One tip that I can give is, I have many tips, but one tip for purposes of this video is you write your rule statements for a certain section, you're IRACing it out, you're analyzing that section and concluding, and based on your RAC, your rule analysis conclusion, then make your persuasive heading. Don't try and start with the persuasive heading, because at that point you may really not know what your argument is or what the case law has found. So write it at the end. So again, your headings in a persuasive PT should be a little bit more lengthy. They're going to include, some assertion as to the section that you're in, whether or not the element has been met, and you're going to use language in both that heading and your conclusions in a persuasive performance test like undoubtedly. There is no other argument here. This point is going to prevail. So strongest argument, the only argument, maybe you're anticipating the defense or the other side a little bit, depending on who you are representing pursuant to the task, but you're definitely not using any objective type language, and there will be points for that. So you want to make sure you really not master, but you have the skill set and you've developed it to be aware of the tone that is needed in both the headings and the conclusion, and really in your analysis as well. But that's a whole nother video that I'll make later. So that's really important too. So timing, strict 90 minutes, make sure you have a strategy going in, make sure you understand the difference of an objective versus persuasive tone. And then you have to practice a ton. I would recommend for the 2 months before the exam doing at least one per week. And then if you're not in a course and you're not having it graded, which you should be, but if you're not, then you can check it against the State Bar Model Answer. You'll see a variety of different formats, but what you really want to be looking for is not that your answer is exact and it mimics the model, but that you have the right sections, you brief the case law well. And that's another, I can make a whole nother video, and I probably should and will, on briefing case law. I always say this to my students. It's like we come out of law school and then we go into the performance test, and because of the time crunch, a lot of applicants get really kind of caught up in, how do I brief a case? You've briefed so many cases in law school. You know how to do this, but yet those skills just kind of like go to the waistline because you think it's the, the bar and it's different. It's not. Pull out the rules and do a good job IRACing them, because that's typically the default format, and make sure that you are thorough with your case law briefing and really get out as much law as possible. There's a difference between legal reasoning and the law, but really the holding. So you're looking for language in the case that says things like, we hold, or we affirm the lower court, perhaps. So you're looking for that really strong holding language. What actually is the rule of law coming out of that case? So I hope that helps. If you're preparing for 2025, get started lightly on the performance test. You don't need to do a ton of work right now. I'd make sure that you have a strategy and make sure that, you have all the list of all the PTs that you're going to be practicing. You can go on calbar.org and look at the last 10, 12 years and really just print all those PTs. Of course, my students, we have all that for you. But if you're not in the CA Bar Style program, then of course, I want to give you these tips so that you can follow them and prevail on the performance test. Do not neglect it. It is such an important part of the test. Good luck.